We cannot be a slave with our own resources and property. The world will not tolerate that. The world will not allow that. So the direction we are going is something, that has ignited a serious anger among the Igbo nation. We have not been in a position of authority to rule this country for 104 years of Nigerian existence. Still, we are being squeezed of tax on daily basis. Who pays more tax in Nigeria? They are Igbos. Go and check it. We are not qualified to be president. We are not qualified to have airport, seaport. We are not qualified to have federal government present in the entire eastern Nigeria. No, we are not qualified. All you see that is happening in the east currently now is based on individual contribution and effort. We do not have any direct federal government support.
The Nigeria House of Rep write to the Canadian government as regards prosecuting Amaka Sunberger, but at the same time we've seen the foreign affairs minister of Biafra, of the Biafrans, Joy Jobi Irobi, write a letter to the mayor of Canada in Brampton. With I think there's a confusion now, as regards this. Who do you think will win this legal battle between the Nigerian government and the Biafra government? Because Ekpa has vowed to stand for her, that gone are those days when Nigerian government bully and oppress the Igbos and the Biafrans. Do you think that Sam Ekpa and Amaka Sunberger can win the House of Rep and at the same time win the Nigerian government as regards this?
Let me tell you about that very incident. Is that first of all, if they're going to start any form of trials, and let it not be involved by Nigerian government, let that trial be done in Canada, where the woman reside, because she's a Canadian citizen, and where she made that statement, if truly she's an Igbo woman, is in Canada. So if Nigeria is going to be involved in that kind of matter, then they should bring the Oba of Lagos. Yeah. They should bring MC Oluomo. They should bring Bayo Ononuga, Beno Mokri. All of them. Then the Lagos Pedia, then and put them on trial. Then from there we know, okay, there's already a starting point, to launch whatever criminal process they want to initiate on behalf of Patience Amaka Sunberger anywhere. Then it can be acceptable. But you can see that the way Amara they rushed to hold an emergency meeting simply because the name they wrote there was just simply Amaka. That tells you what we are talking about. But the hate stuff has taken the international dimension, and I think the US and the UK must intervene in the right direction. The Canadian government has not made any statement. It was just the Nigerian and I believe they are totally going to ignore them because the woman said she's working with disabled people, and she has been there for a very long time, so she understands the factor. But another investigation that people needed to do was that, there was this anonymous figure, who claimed to be, who is being seen as a Yoruba man, disguising himself as an Edo man to issue another hate speech on Igbo children all over the world, that they will be poisoned. And Amaka, that was the reaction of Amaka based on that. And if you look at what Amaka said, he said it is time for the Igbo nation themselves to wake up, to this looming genocidal, Holocaust that is breeding through voices that are in support of ethnic, cleansing by non-state actors, especially the Yorubas themselves that actually initiated it. We saw it during the 2023 presidential election. We saw it during when Tinubu came into power, by Anonuga and make similar. We saw those kind of things coming from a Mokri. There was no emergency meeting in Asurok. We saw it when the Oba of Lagos said they should be thrown into lagoon. There was no emergency meeting in Aso Rock. We saw a lot of things like that, but simply because an Igbo woman residing somewhere in Canada made a statement, and all of a sudden we saw Aso Rock going into emergency meeting to discuss what the next step to take. It's very clearly that the chairperson of Nigerians in diaspora, Abike Dabiri, is such a callous person, because he is quick to react when he overlook people like Reno Mokri and the rest of them, who has also put that similar uniform of Igbo attack, and nothing was being done. So, and that is why you see somebody like Tamoniba coming out that, unfortunately, they cannot be able to do anything because the Biafran government in exile has already activated, their intelligence unit, in the entire Europe, and they are already stationed as I'm talking to you. Everybody flew to Canada, and of course, Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, has been thoroughly briefed because we have so many doctors, so many mayors that are of Igbo extraction in Canada. One of the best medicals, in Canada is an Igbo man. One of the recognized influence of this government under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is. Most of them are Igbos, but some of them are controlling states as I'm talking to you. So the influence is already there, and they have made their contact with the Canadian government, and everything will not going to backfire against Nigeria. It has already backfired because as I'm talking to you now, the Canadian government has placed a visa ban on Nigeria already. So the consequences of that is what is actually playing out. So there's nothing anybody can do about it. It has also given the consciousness of the global rise of the Biafran agitation, where the US, the UK, and other world leaders are already, sitting down properly now to know that this is no longer 1960, where they unceremoniously, destroyed the geopolitical zone called Nigeria. Nigeria is already in the mode. Already, there's no two ways about it. You can see now somebody is already in Abuja. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know the right direction to take. He doesn't know where to start from, simply because he is confused. Wearing P2B shoe in Aso Rock is a very big damage, and that has caused Nigeria a lot of, international, bad image internationally, because instead of marketing Nigeria very well, the Tinubu administration has succeeded in demarketing Nigeria, and that is why you see Nigerian properties all over the world are being confiscated, including China. He went to China, he went to France, nobody answered him. So he's trying to renegotiate, but unfortunately, to face somewhere else, unfortunately, it's not working because the Biafra spirit is already at work globally. There's nothing anybody can do. That's the fact. Anywhere you go, any place you step in, this is see, Nigeria is going to experience the kind of. I don't want to. Let me just put it that they actually in 1967 or thereabout used bombs. The Fulanis, and they use bombs against the Igbos. But today the kind of bombs Igbos are using against them is something that can never understand until Christ comes, because it is not a joke. We cannot be a slave with our own resources and property. The world will not tolerate that. The world will not allow that. So the direction we are going is something that has ignited a serious anger among the Igbo nation. We have not been in a position of authority to rule this country for 104 years of Nigerian existence. Still, we are being squeezed of tax on daily basis. Who pays more tax in Nigeria? They are Igbos. Go and check it. We are not qualified to be president. We are not qualified to have airport, seaport. We are not qualified to have federal government present in the entire eastern Nigeria. No, we are not qualified. All you see that is happening in the east currently now is based on individual contribution and efforts. We do not have any direct federal government support, to at least cushion the deficit of infrastructure in that region. But the people are struggling. Most are struggling. So unfortunately they don't know that their conquest agenda has already failed, and the Biafran rise and the Biafran rise has come to stay. It looks like it's not something anybody can understand, but if you look at the way and manner everything is going, the way Israel as a nation became a nation today, and when Israel was even coming out to agitate for Israel to have a sovereign and independent state, nobody believed them. Nobody. But one day, somebody stood up and said, enough is enough. And today, Israel has become a nation. Today, Israel is a physical nation. Everybody can see. We're not saying anybody. We are not good. We were asking the world to restore a nation that was in existence before. Biafra was in existence. Biafra existed for close to 4 years before that constitutional ceasefire between the federal government and the Biafran government. There was a ceasefire and there was an agreement to that ceasefire. And Nigeria have not maintained their own side of that agreement. And that is why you are seeing more and more separatists breeding or being bred in Biafra land, in Igbo land today. That's why you see somebody like nnamdikanu. You are seeing the separatist leader in Finland, Simon Ekpa. We are seeing a lot of them, So the whole thing is that Nigeria has seen it, that Nigeria as a nation does not deserve to exist. And we cannot be part of something that does not want to exist. The Igbos want to exist. How can you be a nation? You are not sure of when you are going to have light for 104 years. You are not sure when you are going to have food for 104 years. You are not sure. That means what is actually wrong with Nigeria? There must be something wrong with Nigeria. There must be a reason why Nigerian leaders are not. So what are those reasons why we have gotten to a level that, we are seeing Igbo must go, throw them to the lagoon, buy all the Yorubas everywhere, just anything that has to do with threats. That means the country can never be one. And the high time the British government understand that and make available the report of 1966 coup. If there's no truth, there will not be peace. If there's no peace, there's no democracy. Nigeria is a republican nation, but do not practice republicanism. If you talk about being a republican state or country, there are certain things that you see that makes a country a republican nation. One is dialogue. One is justice. Second one is justice. The third one is rule of law. Dialogue, justice, and rule of law. In the absence of these major things, there will not be any form of peace or development. In the northern part of the country, they are saying Boko Haram. They don't want Nigeria. In Yoruba land, they are saying Odua Republic. They don't want Nigeria. Why are they forcing Nigeria on people? Is there something see? It is hard time we raise this consciousness and begin to find out actually what is actually the problem. The whole major ethnic groups in Nigeria does not want Nigeria. Why are they forcing Nigeria? Because of the crude oil. Because of the looting that is going on in Biafra land. Because of the mass criminality that's been exhibited But unfortunately, they do not know that you can only, conquer structure, but you cannot conquer foundation. The foundation of which the Igbo nation was built on is beyond what you are seeing physically. And that is why nobody can be able to say, I owe Biafra. Biafra is a spirit. It's a spirit, and it is possessive. If it possesses you, that's it. As I'm talking to you now in Asurok, everybody is Biafra. Yes, you can see how everybody. Yes, now everybody. You forget this thing inside them. They do not believe in Nigeria. The only reason why they believe in Nigeria is the crude oil that is coming out from there. And somebody has been there. The Canadian woman, the Canadian woman in Canada who has been there observing. First, it's just like your child. You have a child. And you are training the child is observing you. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Do you know at a certain point the child will start reacting to your body language, to your speech, the way you do things and all that. What you see Amaka do or what she did in Canada, that broadcast in Canada was as a result of actions that has been taken in the past that has created that reaction. And she's not regretting it. She even made it very clear and sent a signal to the Igbos that it is time that the this nonsense must stop. The anger is already bottled up. That's the truth. We are watching, everything looks as if the system is working. The system is not working. If Nigeria has to work, it has to come from the consciousness of Nigerians. That's why I said it, that the country, Nigeria itself has refused to work for the country. And the country has refused to work for Nigeria. So how long will this kind of thing continue? And that is why we are saying that the black man cannot wallow in ignorance. The only reason why a black man should have a form of illuminating spirit, light, is when Biafra illuminates, and when Biafra comes. Let me tell you, it is, they know very well, they know what is happening. If I ask enlightened Yoruba people, they will tell you the Igbos and the Beninese never had problem. The Igbos and the Yorubas never had problem until recently. So there must be something wrong. There must be certain elements of Arab Yorubas who are in synergy with the feudal system of the north. But they should know that the wider they become, the more Biafra rises. That is just the truth. So Amaka, anybody that is threatening Amaka arrest, they are going to arrest her. They are wasting their time because Nigeria is not Canada. That Nigerian factor, if they want to play it in Canada, they will fail and will fail woefully. And that is why they cannot be able, to go to Finland today and say they are threatening, because the women have already briefed them. If there's going to be any form of court process between Simon Ekpa and Nigerian government, it has to be in Finland, because there's no extraditory treaty between Nigeria and Finland. So they have to go to Finland and initiate a court process, which they will lose completely. They do not have that knowledge. They do not have that foresight. All they do is arrest him. Using EU and all that. All these things does not matter, because instead of closing the gap, Nigeria is breaking up the more. Thank you.